Hello friends, I'm Torque, and today I am taking a look at the Star Wars The Black Series Imperial Praetorian Guard. This is from the Mandalorian TV show, and it does have a counterpart here with Moff Gideon, but we will be taking a look at that one in a later video. So let's turn this around so you can get a look at the brief summary of it. And then I am going to take this thing out of its packaging, get a closer look. Alright, we have the Praetorian Guard out of his packaging, and we'll take a quick look at the figure before we look at what he comes with. So first off, I wanted to take a closer look at this torso because I originally thought this was just reuse of one of the First Order Stormtroopers, as it looks very similar, but it's actually, from what I can tell, a brand new sculpt. The reason I think that is because of these butterfly joints, and the Commander Pyro, which did use a newer body than most First Order Stormtroopers the Black Series released, had butterfly joints. I don't think that these are the same. I don't have my Pyro anymore, as I gave away all of my First Order troopers recently. But from as far as I can tell, it is different because this torso here is actually an overlay of the body. It's not the body itself. And on that Pyro, it was the body itself. So, but it's even an upgrade from that, which was not a bad Stormtrooper body. But here you can see a little bit closer that there's the actual torso underneath, which from what I can get at, it is just a flat piece of the glossy plastic. But yeah, so I don't think this figure has any reuse, but we will take quicker looks at it, and if you see something that is, let me know down in the comments. So we'll start with the helmet, which I really like this helmet of the old medieval Noble Knight helmets that this has, which also has the blend of the Mandalorian visor with the slit. And so it looks really cool, and it fits in with the Mandalorian aesthetic of the other figures that I will bring in to take a look at. And so the head is just on a ball joint. There is no head underneath, which gives it a lot of good movement, which is really nice for a character that has melee weapons. So you can do a 360. I was futzing with it without talking, sorry. So it can go completely around, has nice back tilt, and can look down that far. And it does have a nice side to side, and then you can have him look at someone like he's not believing what they're saying. So the head is really nicely movable and will help when getting him in action poses. Down at the shoulders, we have that butterfly joint I mentioned earlier, as well as this shoulder, which is on its own little movement thing. But you can see it does have a groove in there, to where if the shoulder's up, it will mostly move with the arm. And so down on the arm, you can do full swivel. The shoulder pad does stop about halfway, but the arm is able to go fully around, and because that's rubber, it'll get out of the way. And be careful, it may stretch that piece there, but for the most part, shouldn't have to worry too much about it. But back to the arm, he does have that butterfly joint, can go in that far and pull the shoulder out that far, move the shoulder pad out of the way, and you can go back about that. That is with the joint itself too, but with the arm in a neutral position, he can actually get it to go back and forth a fair amount, which again is really nice for a character with melee weapons. Down to the elbow, we have a single long cut elbow. He can bend it about that far, but it cannot go back due to this cut right there. You could move it to the side and have him go back like that, but overall, it's a decent elbow. It's not the best cut elbow we've seen in the Black Series, but it's better than a lot. So down at the hand though, we have an up and down hinge, which he does also have a trigger finger on that hand. So if you have a blaster for him, he can in fact hold a blaster, which I have one off to the side here from the Imperial Super Commando. I had a stand for the Super Commando that fell. So here's this blaster. It's from the Imperial Super Commando. And he is able to hold that decently well. It doesn't look too goofy. Because unfortunately, some figures, the way they hold blasters, makes them look incredibly goofy. So there's a close look at that hand. There we go, pull that out. And on the left side, it is a little bit different. Same type of hand, can also hold a blaster. This one's not as natural looking though. As you can see, he kind of holds it like a little tilted down, and because this hand does not have an up and down hinge, it's kind of permanently stuck like that. Now that could change per blaster, but with this particular one, it does look fairly goofy. But back to that hinge on the left, it doesn't go in or out very far. It is very hindered by the cuff of his forearm. But on the right side with the up and down, he actually does have decent movement. Now down to the middle torso, he does have a crunch that is very mobile. As you can see, he can crunch that far, look back that far, and then he has a tilt side to side. Down at the belt, he does have this cloth cape over a hard plastic one, which is really nice because it gets out of the way, but it is in 3 separate pieces, because this is more of just like a cape itself, so we're not looking at that. But the waist cape has this top piece up there, and then this kind of, not a kilt, but just a waist cape, I guess, that goes around, and it doesn't get in the way of the figure too much like a lot of them. Most fabric waist capes, I have a problem with them getting the knee, but down to the knees, or down to the waist again, there is no waist swivel. It is all at the mid torso, so there's not that. And then these little thigh guards are connected to his belt, which is underneath of this cloth. But he does have a ball joint at his waist. Oh, there was a rubber band on the feet to keep them from getting warped, I guess. He does not have a thigh cut for a swivel, so there's no swivel there, but he does have the ball joint. You can go out that far, which is better than some Spider-Mans. You can go forward that far, and then back about that far. As you see, the cape bunches up a little bit, but it doesn't actually hinder the figure itself. It's not pushing his leg back forward. So then down at the knees, these knees are double joints, so they're not the single joint like up at the elbow. And I believe this lower boot is reuse from one of the First Order stormtroopers, which would explain why they went with a double knee instead of a single. But then you have a hinge, you have a double hinge at the knee. You can go back that far, I'll show again. Get a nice look at those double pins. Yeah, I'm fairly certain that that is the lower shin of a First Order stormtrooper. Because when you look at the ankle, which I was kind of futzing with earlier, it looks also like a First Order stormtrooper's boot, which it looks a lot like the Pyro one. Again, I don't have my Pyro anymore, or my Cardinal even, but from memory, the lower boots do look like they were reused. The upper thigh is new, as it doesn't have that thigh cut at the top for swivel, but the lower half does look to be reused from one of the stormtroopers from the First Order. So, alright. Well, let's get him kind of situated, and then we'll take a look at what he came with. He's not the most diverse figure, but he does come with 2 accessories. He comes with this kind of chain sword, a chain blade. It is not a bendy wire, so it is stuck in this position. And they did not include a collapsed one, so you are stuck with the chain sword in its extended look. But that's not really a downside, because it does look really cool still. And because they have the bends like that, it can look like he's swinging it. Just do an on-camera pose to where it just looks like a flail. Yes, quick 2-minute pose. Or how I'm probably gonna have him displayed with this is having him kind of drag it behind him. See if I can get it. Have him kind of dragging it as he's walking forward, like that. Because it does have that bend to where it looks like he's dragging it across the floor to go swing it. So of the 2, this is probably my favorite of the weapons he comes with. And so we will take a look at the second one real quick, which is this kind of glaive. It has the big long blade at the top of it. And then I think this is a little kind of like pike or spike at the end of it, because it's not rounded for a handle, and he has these 2 grips here, which you can get him to hold it there. And thanks to those butterfly joints, he is able to grasp it in the middle, like that. Or he's holding it at attention, or you can even splay out his hands decently to have him in like a guarded position with it. So however you want to have him posed with that, I'm not the greatest poser, so however you like to have it. But of the 2, I'm most likely going to not display him with the glaive and give him the chainsword, which I did not. He fell over. I did not take a closer look, but it does have this kind of magenta highlights in the blade, giving it like the energetic static it had in the show. So it's not the worst accessory to come with a figure. It's not the greatest, and the fact that they did not include a collapsed version of that sword is a little disappointing. I will have to fact check during the editing if possibly one of the First Order Praetorian Guards came with a deactivated one in its kind of just collapsed look, but the horror of watching me pose that thing, I was disgusted by myself even. I will fact check that and let you know during the editing process if there is in fact a collapsed version with one of the First Order Praetorians. But for the figure itself compared, here it is side by side with that Imperial Super Commando from the same show, same story arc. And then here is the original Moff Gideon from the dusty shelves. And so overall, not the most wowing figure, but still a really cool figure that will look great when put on the shelf with the other ones. So thank you for watching. I hope this was informational, and stay tuned for the next one, in which we will be taking a look at the Dark Trooper Moff Gideon taking out the competition, it looks like. All right, see ya.